Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my review of Mafia 2 for the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and PC. Now, this video will contain spoilers, but the spoiler section will be later on in the video, hopefully. So we'll get on with it. As soon as we open, it's not going to be a scripted review, just my thoughts in kind of a reviewy kind of style. We'll start with what I didn't like from Mafia 2, and this is probably the worst fucking thing about this game: the fucking checkpoints. Maybe 2K Czech, and maybe in like Czechoslovakian or whatever language they speak over there, I don't know. Maybe there's not a translation for checkpoint, or maybe they just missed out on something, because where's check? Like, I was playing on hard, which granted isn't that difficult compared to other games, but like there was this one, and this is not spoiler, I had to drive somewhere, watch a cutscene, and then drive somewhere else. That's all I had to do, right? So I drive to the first place, watch a cutscene, and then I smashed into a police car, and they got me. Alright? They got me. So I got arrested because I didn't have any money at the time, and then I had to start from the start of the chapter, and then drive to the house, and drive to the same house, watch the same cutscene, and this happens so many times, like especially towards the end of the game when you start to die a bit, you really notice that this game lacks fucking checkpoints. Saints Row 2, and I hate to bring Saints Row 2 into it, done an epic job of checkpoints. Grand Theft Auto started to realize that they needed checkpoints in the downloadable content. This has checkpoints, don't get me wrong, but they're horribly placed. What I did like about the game was it's epic. The storyline is awesome. I really like games that can take you back in time and do it well. Games like Assassin's Creed 2, Red Dead Redemption, Mafia 2. The soundtrack is awesome because, you know, I'm a big fanboy of music from the 1940s and 50s. The voice acting is fucking perfect. There's nothing wrong with the goddamn voice acting, goddamn. And if there was, the goddamn developers would be sleeping with the goddamn fishes. That's just my bad New Yorker kind of accent, I suppose. But no, the voice acting is excellent. Now, what all the game reviewers have been saying about this game is that because it's an open world setting, there's really not that much to do. Now, I think that, granted, it is open world setting, but I think what we have here is a conflict of genres. Now, it's an open world game, correct. I think it's an open world game in name only, because there is never a moment when a red line showing you where to go is never on the screen. There is not a moment in the game where that's not the case. So, with that said, and I said this on my Facebook, this was my moment of genius, and people will quote me when I say this for thousands of years to come. It's a very linear game in a non-linear... Fuck, I forgot my own saying. I probably should have wrote it down. But my saying was, now that I remember it, I think, it's a very linear game in a non-linear genre. Because you take games like Grand Theft Auto and Saints Row, and I hate to bring these up because I'm going to bitch about that in a minute, but there's so much to do outside the world. But in this, you know, there's robbing stores, buying stuff, and that's about it. There's really not that much else. Now, another thing that pisses me off is all the game reviewers saying, oh, it's not Grand Theft Auto. It doesn't have to be Grand Theft Auto. This is the thing that pisses me off the most. They did it with Saints Row 2. Like, you watch every Saints Row 2 video, and the starting line is, well, it's not Grand Theft Auto. And they say it in Mafia 2 reviews, it's not Grand Theft Auto. It doesn't have to be Grand Theft Auto. Just because a game is in a certain genre doesn't mean that the best game in that genre, or the supposed best game in that genre, needs to be mentioned. When they review Call of Duty, they never mention Wolfenstein, they never mention Doom, and they never mention, you know, well, Doom, the original first-person shooter. So every, you know, fucking Call of Duty review should open with the line, well, it's not Doom. Fuck that bullshit. People need to realise that Grand Theft Auto isn't the only fucking, you know, fish in the pond. Mafia 2, Saints Row, Red Dead Redemption, you know, there's all these huge Just Cause, you know, all these open world games. They need to get off their ass and realise that there's more open world games than Grand Theft Auto. Now, some of the other things in Mafia 2, the combat, you know, it's just your generic cover and shoot. The guns are really good. I thought there would be a really limited supply, or a really limited number of different guns, but there's lots of different guns. There's lots of submachine guns and pistols. There's only one shotgun, I think. The cars, you know, they handle as I think as modern as the developers would allow, you know, because you're not going to be able to get a huge huge car like in the 1940s to handle like a car today. So I think that they've modernized it enough. Car customization, it's really not needed. That's about it, I think, because that's like. But the reviewers are right that the open world is such a tease, because there's phone boxes, the world is huge, and there's literally, once you've done like, well, never mind. But the story missions, there's never a marker that does not tell you where to go. And it's confusing too, because what they do, and people who play it might have the same problem as me. There's these two guys that you can do jobs for. It's kind of like side missions, if you would, but you go there, and every time they say they've got no missions. Every time. And I thought that, and there's this one guy that you sell cars to, and I thought that you had to go and talk to him, and he would tell you what car to go and get. But no, you just bring any car to the crusher, and that counts. Like, I don't think that was very well explained. I don't think that the docs was very well explained right up until about the end of the game, really. But nonetheless, it's an awesome game. You should definitely buy it. People have been bitching that there's no multiplayer. People need to fucking grow up and realize that games are single player. I'm not a fan of, multiplayer wouldn't work. It just would not work. But it's an epic game, and you should definitely go and buy it. I give it, out of 10. What? An 8? An 8 or an 8.5, somewhere in that region out of 10. I really don't like rating games out of 10 because it's all personal opinion. But the game never crashed. It doesn't have that many graphical issues or stuff like that, But it's kind of disappointing for a game that's been, in development for quite a while to be lacking some of the things. But definitely, if you're into story-based games, this is for you. If you're not, then you don't want to play it. If you're looking for like a Grand Theft Auto Saints Row kind of open world, don't get this. If you're looking for more of a storyline game, Mafia 2 is for you. Now, this part of the video will contain spoils, so if you don't want Mafia 2 spoiled, pause the video now, leave a comment, rate, comment, and subscribe, and then you can click out of the video, because we are going to go into spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, when I say spoilers, I'm really not going to give away the ending, because the ending is pretty good. But there's this whole chapter, I think it's chapter 4 or 5, where Vito goes to prison. And I acknowledge that games take inspiration and ideas off movies, like Call of Duty 4, the ending was Saving Private Ryan on the bridge with a pistol. But it was modified, it wasn't the same thing. You get into prison with Vito, and it is literally Shawshank Redemption. That is what it is. I mean, sure, there's little differences, like a fight club and all this kind of shit, but the old man is sitting in a corner playing chess. The whole opening was Shawshank Redemption. The guards were exactly like Shawshank Redemption. Now, that in itself is all right, but for those of us that have seen Shawshank Redemption, it just looks kind of bad. Well, to me it did. But if you haven't saw Shawshank Redemption, then it would probably be pretty good, I suppose. What was the other spoiler I had to do? I can't remember. I think that was all the spoilers. Yeah, that was my only bitch about the spoilers. Oh, and if you are playing through, the game does end. Like, it ends, like Fallout did. It ends. You can't go around and run along anymore. But there is chapters, thank God. And there was one more thing I had to talk about. Does anyone think that the ending, if you've seen the ending, does anyone else think that the ending might lead to a threequel? Or technically it would be a sequel. But how would they do that? Mafia 2, the redemption, shit like that. Fuck, I don't know. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, hope you have enjoyed this review video and my thoughts on Mafia 2. You should definitely go and buy it. So until next time, au revoir!